Hi, welcome to another video from Cardboard East. My name's Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. Today we're going to look at my most anticipated games from 2025. They're not really most anticipated. They're just games that I'm looking forward to. There are like hundreds of games that come out of Asia, and like only a fraction, tiny fraction have been announced so far. I mean, it's January. It's January. First, I want to talk about games that I've already talked about. These are games that either had like a crowdfunding campaign in 2024 and will be finally fulfilling, hopefully, in 2025. I don't think they will have any problems, but these are games that I'm really excited about. Number one is Sweet Lands from Uchibakoya. This is their best game by far. You have cookie rabbits, you have banana bridges. It's beautiful. It's Candyland that's super heavy and like Lacerda levels of heavy. It's fantastic. Next is Snow Planner. I don't know how it's possible, but dice placement games just kind of, they speak to me. They speak to me, and Dice Planner is one of my favorite games from Asia, period. Not just last year, but period. Now, it came out before, but the new Deluxeified edition with the dice that look like the vests of like bellboys. It looks so good. Also, the expansion that adds more tracks for me to track on. Love it. Jisogi will be fulfilling, and it's a little bit of a mess, but the gameplay and like how the game just looked overall, so fascinating. It is the best like anime game I've ever played because it's about anime in general. Like the artwork on those cards. Fantastic. And I can't wait to see what that final production looks like. Shallow Sea is coming out from Bad Comet. Bad Comet makes a lot of great games, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what Shallow Sea brings and how they're going to develop that. Now, I already did a video of that already, but I want to see where that goes. Next is Stem and Branch, all the way from Vietnam. This is a fantastic card game, and I can't wait to see what the final production looks like. It should be releasing this year, and I can't wait. Now, that's the old. I mean, it's the old in with the new, but it's not really that old. Our Kickstarter games that will be launching on Kickstarter soon or have already launched on Kickstarter. First up is 1899 Daihan. Now, this is an 18xx game from Korean designer Gunnil. And if you haven't heard of Gunnil, you've probably heard of some of his other games. He's mostly known for two-player trick-taking games. He did Jekyll versus Hyde, Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard. He also did Yellow House, which is on a lot of top 10 lists this year, which I was really excited to see. But 1899 is Gunnil's big voyage into 18xx. So if you're really into 18xx games, I'd definitely check out this Korean map because it looks really cool. Now, by the time this episode airs, that campaign should have finished, but there's always a late pledge, so you should be able to late pledge into it and get that game if that is your cup of tea. Next up is Sky Totems, and that is currently live on Kickstarter now. Sky Totems is this cool looking, I don't want to say dice drafting, more like cube drafting, 3D abstract game where you're putting these animals on top of these totems that you're creating with these cubes. Now, while the base game looks cool, but the advanced option with the deluxeified components with the meeple totems look really rad, and I think that'll make this game really sing. If you back that, I would strongly recommend getting the ones with the meeples because those look good. Next up is Falling, and Falling made my top 25 from last year. I'll be doing a video of it later on this month, and it is it's really good, really good. If you really like big, heavy strategy games with really novel mechanics, this is something I recommend. Now, I haven't done a long-form video of it, but I have done a short-form video of that, and you can check out in my previous video where I talked for literally 1 minute about that game. Next up, over here, we have 3 games that I'll be doing videos of this month. One will be Catopomp, which is a cool shedding game. I've been really enjoying this one. I played this over my holiday, where I went to a nice little road trip just to relax and unwind and get recharged. This will be launching in Kickstarter in February, but I'll be making a video this month about this. Next up is Demonuki, which is from the designer of Fantasy Tavern Brawl. Fantasy Tavern Brawl was a really cool dexterity game about fantasy characters getting into a bar fight. Demonuki takes place in that same universe, but you're doing a variant of an old Japanese game, Babanuki, which is very similar to Old Maid. But instead of looking for pairs, you have cards that have special abilities that interact with cards in a fun, interesting way. And I'll be making a whole video about this later this month. Next up is Orthognomes, which is a beautiful 3D abstract, but that's fully 3D. Like you are putting blocks in a certain way and you have to look at it from the north, south, east, west, and from above and trying to get the most connect fours possible. And it's really fun to kind of think about that way and have that lazy Susan. We kind of rotate the board around. Really cool. When you play this at a board game cafe last week while on vacation, this turned a lot of heads in the cafe and people were wondering what this game was. Great table presence. Next up is a game I'm really excited for, and that is the Treasure Ship of Zheng Returns. I believe I wrote that down correctly. That game is designed by Hisashi Hayashi, who also designed really fantastic games like Trains and Yokohama. Now, Hisashi Hayashi designs a lot of small box games and occasionally does big box games, but all his big box games are bangers. They're really solid. You have Railway Boom, which will be coming out later this year, which is going to be fantastic. You're going to hear about this game and you're going to think, oh yeah, Jay mentioned that all the way back in January. It's fantastic. Definitely check that out. You're going to have this one, the Zheng game, which is going to be absolutely beautiful. You have Yokohama. That's another great classic game. You also have like Emperor's Choice, which is this really cool auction game. This is a game that I think deserves to have a reprint. It was going to have one, but it fell through. Long story short, but it's really fantastic. So when Hisashi Hayashi makes a big box game, you really need to pay attention to it. And Zheng is one of the games that I'm really excited about. I think it's super exciting because this year there are going to be 3 games releasing about this moment in history. If you don't know anything about Zheng, he was this admiral who sailed from like Ming Dynasty China all the way to like East Africa, like which is just unheard of. And he had these big, massive ships. So while Ultimate Voyage was the Kickstarter that ran last year, is more of a war game that had lots of fiddly rules, which I loved because I love how war games really want to show appreciation for the history, and they have little rules here and here to try to show their appreciation to accuracy and like the historical respect. Hisashi Hayashi's version kind of takes all of that, throws it out the window, and creates a nice streamlined process, which I think is really interesting. But the most interesting thing about the game are like this monument actions where you place a monument here and a monument here and a monument here. And eventually when you trigger this action, you can make this action and make this action. So you have these big combo-tastic turns. And I think that is really fascinating. Up next, leaving the world of Kickstarter behind. We going all the way back to Korea. Korea Board Games has announced a lot of new games. One that I'm really excited about is Foldris. Now that sounds like paper and Tetris. Well then, hey, you're right. It's a Tetris flip and write game. I'm really curious how that works out. I love Tetris like a lot. It's one of my favorite movies. I know it takes the history like very tongue in cheek, but it's what I love. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And so I'm looking at this game to see, oh, will this be part of that? It's going to capture that magic. Korea Board Games also has some real-time games coming out. Now, real-time isn't always my cup of tea, but Beaver House looks really interesting. It's about a whole bunch of beavers and trying to make your dam in real time. And you have a dam board. And I could say, this is my dam board. The whole game. That's going to be fun. Next up is a game I played at Spiel last year called Gimbap. We are making your own Gimbap in real time, rolling dice, seeing what things can touch where, and you're rolling it up, making it. It is far more fun than I thought it would be. And I had a huge blast playing it. I'll put a link down below in the description to my video of me playing it with Korea Board Games. Next up is the Coffee Rush expansion. Now this is already released in Korea, all in Korean. So it's Coffee Rush, but with cakes. Coffee Rush is one of my favorite games from Korea, hands down. I love how stressful and how fast and fun it is. And the toy factor on the game alone is just fantastic. Also coming from Korea Board Games is Purrfect Place. I forget how many U's and R's are in that perfect, but you get where this is going. This is essentially going to be a golf variant with cats. So the idea is to get matching cats to reduce the size of your tableau and shrink it up, and different cat cards have different abilities. So I'm really curious to try that one out and share that with you. Also to look forward to in 2025 is February, which I have now dubbed Trick Takuary. So all of February, I'll be doing nothing but reviews on trick-taking games. And I got a lot of trick-taking games to kind of work through, and I just want to dedicate a whole month to trick-taking games, talking about them, what my 10 favorite are, what my 10 newest releases are, my 10 favorite new releases. I think English, I know words. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. Already, 2025 is shaping up to be a fantastic year in board games, especially from Asia. Last year was fantastic. There's so many great games. I can't wait to see what this year brings. So if you're as excited as I am and want to learn more about board games from Asia, please like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.